All right, hello everybody, and welcome to the Frantic Talks podcast, episode 52. We have officially made it to 1 year, even though it hasn't been actually a year. It's been longer. But either way, episode 52. I am your host, Frantic. With me, as always, is my lovely co-host,
Grunt.
And we are here to talk about video games.
And junk.
Now, before we hop into everything, it's going to be a fun, jam-packed episode. I'm looking forward to bringing you guys yet again another top 5. We'll discuss that here in a minute. Let's get advertising, as we like to call it, out of the way. So, if you want to continue this conversation, talk to us, hit us up, talk about anything you would like, head over to Twitter. That'll be the easiest, fastest way to get to us. I am at FranticJ3. He is at Onyx Spartan, ONYX Spartan, all one word. Or you can hit up at Frantic_Talks if you just want to yell at both of us without having to specify who. We will respond, don't worry. Normally we'll follow that up with a like. That's usually how it goes. Either way, would love if you... Very true. I would love if you guys could give us a follow. That'd be great. Either way, if you didn't want to do that and you wanted to go to somewhere like, I don't know, Facebook, head over to facebook.com/Frantic Talks. You'll find us there too. We'll post about a lot of the articles we write and usually the podcast when they go live and the Sunday show video, which is all on YouTube. So YouTube, if you search for Frantic Talks, you'll find us pretty easily. Don't have an official URL yet. Need 100 subscribers. It's growing though. So if you subscribe, we can get you a cool URL. Although if you subscribe, it's just much easier than putting in any URL. Think about it. If you want to access all that information, head to frantictalks.com. That is the mothership. You will find all of our stuff there, including mostly what I just said, all our articles, our podcasts, including inside the podcast links to the YouTube channel. Oh, I just hit my mic. Links to the YouTube channels, links to follow us on iTunes, all the fun stuff. So anyways, follow us on all avenues if you want to talk to us about whatever it is you want to talk to us about. Head over to magic.frantictalks.com, check out our magic articles, all that fun stuff. I think that's about all I can say when it comes to advertising. It's long-winded, but I promise it's worth it. If you want to follow us on Twitch, you can head on over to twitch.tv/Frantic Talks. We are live every Saturday, usually, at 3 p.m. Eastern, usually. And I throw the usuallys in because we constantly change our schedule. Well, not constantly, but we usually have a Saturday or two that we don't end up recording. As is why episode 52 is not our 1 year anniversary. It's actually like our 1 year, 4 month anniversary. We missed a couple episodes for holidays and other random things. So, that being said, a little bit of wizardry, a little bit of editing. Most of you listening to this will not hear what just happened. If you check out the archives, you'll see it. But the video will even be edited. Either way.
Basically, all you really need to know is make fun of Grunt for technical issues, because that's going to happen.
Exactly. So, with all the advertising out of the way, Grunt, how was your week?
It was pretty good, actually. Just start things off, on Monday, I went and got to see the World Series trophy for the Chicago Cubs, which was amazing. It was cool actually getting to see it.
That sounds like it would have been a lot of fun.
It was. The whole thing that sucked was standing out in the cold for almost 3 hours.
I can imagine that being awful.
But it was worth it in the long run.
Especially in somewhere like the Windy City.
Yes. Well, it was actually in my area, so I didn't go to Chicago for that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They're doing a World Series trophy tour of several Midwestern states, and they are going. I think some of them they're sticking to like Illinois, Iowa, right now this month and last month. They're going to other cities though, and it was in Devonport on Monday, which is literally just right across the river from me.
Oh, nice. That's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. It was worth it. They were giving wristbands out to the first 500 people that would show up, and those people that had wristbands would be guaranteed to see it in their hour-and-a-half time frame that they had. And then they try to get more through after those first 500. When I got there, we were like 480-ish in line because we got there, and the person handing them out only had 2 sheets of about 10, maybe 15 left. So we were calling it a little close, but we got to see it.
That's pretty cool. Man, that would have been... I feel like that would have been a lot of fun if, per se, like the team I follow would have won the World Series. So I can only imagine what that was like.
What team is that?
The Cincinnati Reds.
Oh. Sucks. At least it's not Cleveland. I don't.
Well, at least it's not. But then again, they actually got to the World Series.
It's true.
For those of you listening that don't know what baseball things. Sorry.
Exactly. But yeah, I got to kick off my week seeing that, so that was pretty great. That was probably the biggest high point of the week.
Right, sounds like a good start at least.
Definitely. Rest of the time, I've been playing some Skyrim, more so Destiny. I still have yet to start Dishonored for an update on that.
Yes, our Dishonored quest that I didn't actually get anybody letting me know about being interested in that $5 gift card. Seriously, guys. Tweet at us. Up for grabs. If you can guess who's going to finish Dishonored 2 first, I will definitely go out a $5 gift card for Xbox Live. And it's between me and Grunt, and keep in mind, Grunt has to play through the first one, but I only play about 5 or 6 hours a game a week.
And
if it's Xbox.
And usually, if it is on the Xbox, it's like Destiny or Borderlands or something.
Right, because that's about how long it'll take me to do most of the stuff I want to do in a week on Destiny, so
Right. So yeah. Speaking of Destiny, I finally got my Icebreaker.
Woo! I was there for that.
Icebreaker is mine, yes. So, gotta level it up now. Pretty anxious to use it, see what it's like.
I guess I'll fill you in on my stuff. But anything else to add for your week, or was that about it?
Nope, that's pretty much it.
Okay. Well.
Pretty quiet. How was your week?
Yeah, mine was quiet too. I actually made a list of things to make sure I didn't forget anything. Even though it's not much, I forget things all the damn time. But I'll talk about Destiny first. With Zur, when he came yesterday and is still there today, he brought the Invective, so that's an exotic I did not have, and I finally got that. And I need the Celestial Nighthawk, which, for those of you that don't know, it's a helmet for the Hunter. For those of you who don't even know what that means, it's just a really rare helmet that does really dumb stuff. I wanted it. Zur brought it, and I totally forgot to buy it. So it's my fault, but I really want it. And I thought I could buy Legacy Engrams, which are Year 1 Engrams, for those of you that may not know. Because normally when you get a Year 1 exotic, you can buy it off the wall for Year 2. But apparently not with the Celestial Nighthawk, because I already had it, and I didn't realize it. So I bought 2 Legacy Engrams. Did not get it. I got 2 helmets I'd already gotten before, and then realized I couldn't buy it off the wall anyway. So kind of a waste of strange coins, tragically. But either way. I ended up getting... I don't think I got anything else that was crazy. I got a Hawkmoon, I think, on Tuesday. That was
You
fun.
did get a Hawkmoon.
I got 2 of them, didn't I? No, I got 1 Hawkmoon, and I got something else stupid. But
yeah. You fell back in love with your Angel's Advocate.
Yes, I did. Just playing a lot of PvP. I don't know why I've been in the mood to play PvP. Normally, I'm not. I guess that's not true, but normally I want to play PvE where I can just kind of not have to be sweaty. Yeah, kick back and play.
Right.
But
I think something that might have to do with it is the weekly bounty was relatively easy. The weekly Crucible bounty. Just play Clash.
Just play a normal Clash, and I was trying out different loadouts, seeing which way I wanted to play, like being a Night Stalker instead of my normal Golden Gun Gunslinger.
Okay. On the spot question: what would be your loadout?
On the spot right now, if I had to pick something, I'd probably go with the one that I've used over time instead of the newest try I was doing, which is probably... Actually, I'm enjoying having a sniper as my secondary right now, so I'd have to go with my Clever Dragon, 1,000-yard stare. Really, any heavy doesn't matter, but Galahorn fits into that, and I do Golden Gun with 2 throwing knives. And probably Bones of Ao, because I'm enjoying those ever since I got them.
Ayo.
Ayo. Right. That's where I'd have to go with that, if anyone listening is curious.
Sounds like a good loadout.
Yeah, it's not bad. It works for what it needs to do. Either way, beyond that, I've been playing some mobile games. Actually, a lot of mobile games on my phone, because I found a really fun game. So last week we had mentioned upcoming games that were going to be released in February, and one of the very early ones was Fire Emblem Heroes, which came out this past Tuesday, I want to say. It was the 2nd, so maybe Wednesday. Wednesday the 4th? Something like that.
Oh, yeah, today is the 4th.
Yeah, so it came out on like Thursday then. Really weird timing for it to come out, but either way, it just came out recently, and I went and downloaded it and was going to play it, but then I saw a recommendation of DC Legends, and I was like, oh, I wonder what that is, because I've been enjoying a lot of Young Justice recently, because that's an amazing TV show. Watch it if you haven't watched it. It's on Netflix. They're coming out with season 3 eventually. I clicked into it and saw what it was, and it's a turn-based, like, pseudo-RPG, but it's more team building. And it's turn-based combat, and you level your characters up. So I tried it out for a couple minutes, and man, it's a lot of fun. The only thing I can say beyond that is that I don't know how much of a freemium game it is. I know it's free to play, clearly, and I know there are pay-to-play elements of it. It seems like it's probably way easier if you pay for it, but there are certain types of freemium games that you can play just fine without ever having to spending a dime, and there are others where it's like you pretty much have to pay to get into the game beyond a certain point. I don't think this is one of those games I think it's one of those that has a decent amount of gameplay for non-payers, as I call them.
It has a good split between the benefits of paying and just playing the game without spending any money.
Yeah, there's 5 tiers of characters, just like 1 to 5 stars. And in order to gain a star, you have to get fragments of heroes, and to get the fragments, you have to spend this like in-game currency. Think of it as Destiny Silver, where you actually could put money into this currency, but you get the currency in-game at slow rates. So like one pack is like the cheapest pack you can buy is 900 of it, and after each fight you get maybe 15. So, and each fight takes a minute or 2, maybe 3. So it's a grind, but doing missions and challenges and stuff, you can get more. So it seems like it's a little bit of a grind if you're not paying for it. So I'm not entirely sure. I could probably follow up on this next week because I've leveled up to level 17 in the past 24 hours. So it's not hard to level up.
Wait, from level 1 to 17?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So either way.
Definitely should follow up on that.
Yeah, I'll follow up on that, and hopefully I get a chance to play Fire Emblem if I'm not too absorbed playing this DC Legends game. I really like DC Comics, and I like Marvel Comics, but I like DC a lot. I think they're underrated. Either way. That's been the most of the video games I've played this week. I haven't really done anything else. Maybe probably a round or 2 of Rocket League at some point that I've forgotten about. The only other thing I was going to add is last night I published the next partner article in our Magic EDH partner series on magic.frantalks.com. If you aren't aware, we are doing a partner series where we're trying to write 105 articles. I know, that's a lot. And we've written 6 now? 5 or 6.
Only 99 or 100 more to go.
Yeah, I know. We're not even like 1% of the way there. Well, we are, but either way, I just published one last night. It is the 3rd one I've written, so we're on 6 now. That's how that math works, and we should be getting another one out here within the next day or 2. I actually built out an entire schedule for the month. Now it's very lenient. It doesn't just say it Wednesday at 4 p.m. It goes live. It's like Wednesday, Thursday, get one. Saturday, Sunday, get one. So keep your eye on the site. Now, granted, last night was Friday. We had to swap the schedule real quick because somebody had issues, more or less, is the way to put it. Well, I mean, I'm not paying them anything, so I'm not just going to be upset with them. I'm just like, I understand. It happens. It's not like it's the end of the world. So, no, it'd be entirely different if I'm paying them quite the salary and they're just like, oh, I have to get mine out on Sunday instead of Wednesday. It's like, that's a little late, but I don't care.
That's a little late, but this is your free pass. Don't do it next time.
If I was paying them, yes, but I'm not. I wish I could, but that's not the case. So it's just, we got the article. It is the 2nd time I've written about this deck, but it's with different commanders. It is the non-red deck, which is white, blue, black, green. Yeah, and it is quite a different spin on the deck. Like, surprisingly enough, you swap one of the guys out, you rebuild the entire deck in a different way. Pretty interesting, I thought.
Interesting. I saw you tweeted it last night, but I had yet to read it. So
it was definitely one that I didn't put nearly as much thought and effort into because it was kind of rushed due to, like I said, schedule constraints. But either way, I'll have one out again, I think, in the next week. And how we're doing it is we have 3 people writing, so you publish one between Wednesday and Thursday, and then you have a week and a half for the next one. And it works really well because that means you get a week off, and it just kind of rotates. Like, I write an article with somebody one week, I write an article with someone the next week, and then I get that next week off. And hilariously enough, I've told them I'm going to write an article on my week off about Magic stuff. So to say the gears are turning and everything's getting done is an understatement. We're getting some pretty good-sized traffic to the Magic side pretty regularly. It's not going to sound like much to most of you listening, but I mean, 10 to 20 views a day is a lot, I think, for something that's just gaining that amount. For how small our website is, the 10 to 20 per day that I'm not promoting in any sense, and then when I do promote something, get it's over 1,000, seems like a pretty good number. So, it's all just due to the stuff we write about. People are interested in certain cards. We write about certain cards. They find our article. It's about how it works. SEO 101, guys, if you're ever curious. Or as, I don't know why this has been running through my head all this week, but for some reason, do you remember the movie Robots from like 2005, 2006 or whatever?
I think so.
With like Ewan McGregor as the main character, but it's an animated movie. And like there were all kinds of like really famous people in this. Amanda Bynes, Robin Williams all did voices in this movie. Big Weld was played by Mel Brooks, and oh my god, his whole catchphrase was "see a need, fill a need," and that was what like drove the main character to go meet him and find out he wasn't who like really is this charismatic person he thought he was. But anyways, spoilers, I guess, for the movie that's like 10 years old. For some reason, all week, anytime I see something, I'm just like, huh, someone saw a need and filled a need. And I'm just like, why does that keep going through my head? You know, with the magic site, we saw a need and filled a need, man. Like, I don't understand why it's been going through my head. Oh, jeez.
Doesn't sound like it's really a bad thing, so...
Oh, it's so funny. All right, anyways, so I got some news that we're going to go through here really quick because we got a top 5 we're going to get to and hopefully not run to the hour mark again. Nothing crazy, just quick, really, honestly, really quick notes. First up, the Bungie update. Oh, I don't even have the fucking browser up in the background. And it didn't work. Of course it didn't work. Why wouldn't it ever work? Things don't work today on the podcast, just so you know. There it is.
You really need to have a stern discussion with OBS about displaying the browser.
Seriously, if anybody listening knows how to fix that, let me know.
Sit it down and tell it to work.
Open Broadcaster software, we need to have a talk. I need to show browsers to people, and you make me change it every time.
All right.
Anyways, this week at Bungie, nothing really crazy here, just that the hotfix 2.5.0.2, those numbers mean nothing, I just read how it says, is coming out here soon, basically mid-February. It's actually the dead center of February is the time they've given us, February 14th, even though that's not entirely guaranteed. They just said Tuesdays tend to work. Anyways, 2.5.02 or 0.0.2 is coming out, and they will be revealing all the details on live stream this Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, or if you're in the 2 other time zones that are made up, figure out your time. That is
12 p.m. Central.
And then 11 Mountain.
11 Mountain. There's a bunch of other European time zones, which are weird, so...
All right, Europeans, you're getting to see this at like 5 or 6 in the afternoon or something like that, so...
usually.
Yeah, so they're going to be revealing, it's mainly just a sandbox and weapons update, basically. Even there, they're just tweaking things. A lot of people are just upset with the state of PvP, where it's like shotguns or get the fuck out. So, I think that's...
going to be interesting to see what they change exactly. I'm really curious for it.
Yeah, so we'll probably talk about that on the next podcast, and maybe, not going to set this in stone, but might even do a Destiny-themed episode. Stay tuned for more.
Ooh. Breaking news.
Breaking
more
news.
More, actually, no, wait. More at 3.
More at 3. There you go. Because that's what time we go live, usually.
Exactly. Usually.
All right, so that's that. That's pretty much all I had to add there. Beyond that, man, I use that phrase a lot. Fallout Shelter makes its console debut next week. This was written on February 3rd. This still is technically next week. February 7th. Yep, it's a Tuesday. So that'll be coming to consoles. If you haven't played Fallout Shelter, it was a game designed for mobile, so your like tablets or your phone, and it is a resource management game where you start your own vault and then you add people in and assign them to different places based on the stats they got. And you can also send them out into the wasteland to gather awesome and very unique resources. And you sometimes get attacked by like raiders or fucking rad roaches and stuff like that.
So long as they don't have super mutants. I still have nightmares about them.
I don't think they do. I think you get raiders, death claws, and rad roaches. Those are the only 3 that can attack you. Unless they've added updates. That's how it was when I first started. I haven't played it since. Although my lady friend does play it, I just don't really pay attention to what she's playing, because at the same time, I'm usually on my phone playing a game too. So, it's a healthy relationship, I promise. But either way, that'll be coming to the console. I think that's kind of odd that it's going to make a console debut. I think it'll be free, probably. It supports... Oh, it says free download around screen. What am I doing? Free download supports Play Anywhere, which I believe is the Windows thing where you can play it on anything. So maybe that's why they're doing it.
Your progress carry... I think it's free to download on phones and that, too.
Yeah, it is. That's why I thought it would be free to download. So
Yeah. The Play Anywhere feature is something that Microsoft does. You can play it on your Xbox One or your Windows 10 PC. All of your progress, transfers back and forth between the two. So, I imagine probably like Windows phones, Windows 10 phones, if those are things. I don't know, honestly.
Ooh, I don't know about that. So
They
yeah,
used to be, but I don't know if they are anymore.
So that'll be coming. That was a lot of fun to play when I played it, and people still play it now. It's a pretty good game. It doesn't really have any glitches or any issues. I mean, I'm sure it has glitches, but not like game breaking or anything. So I think that's a good game. Keep your eye on it.
Yeah, I'm really anxious for that actually because I downloaded it on my iPod. Didn't get to play it too much because it kept crashing. Sorry to burst your bubble about not having too many glitches, game breaking glitches.
Well, I mean, it might have been because you were on a much, I don't know, like older. Will you have an old phone or no? I don't know.
It was on my iPod Touch, which is only like a generation old now. Compared to what they have. So when it came out, it was the newest gen iPod you could get. So I don't know. I also downloaded like pretty much right after the game came out. So
could have been an issue there too.
Yeah.
I don't know truly, but it seems to be fine. Like I said, it's been a while since I played.
Yeah, it's been a while since I played it too, so I'm curious and very anxious for it.
Yeah.
Give it a try.
All right. So, last bit of news. This actually makes me kind of sad. Rock Band 4 news. Reports say that Mad Catz was hurt by Rock Band 4. Not like emotionally, I mean fiscally. Basically, Mad Catz is a publicly traded company. They were issued a warning from the stock exchange for being too low of a stock price. And you will also, if you did not know this, as I did not know until I read, the minimum price of your stock has to be 20 cents to be on the stock exchange. And they were warned they were too low. That's rough.
Ouch.
And if you're wondering where they were at when they got the warning, 13 cents, of which now they are at 8 cents. So it sounds like Rock Band support might be dwindling quick, and Mad Catz is losing out pretty hard. I don't think they're going to go bankrupt per se. They do a lot of stuff that is beyond Rock Band. It's just it clearly hurt them, and it makes me sad because I really enjoyed Rock Band. I still play it with my friends. I mean, it's been a bit since we've played because we had stuff going on, but it was a game we've put a lot of hours into, the Rock Band 4 at least. So tragic, unfortunately.
Yeah, the thing, and you briefly mentioned it, was it specifically because of Rock Band, though? Because, like you said, they do create other things. There's other controllers and that. So,
yeah, basically, if I could read more into this article, just to quick recaps here. The company revealed revenue had dropped 71% year over year, and that it experienced a net loss of $3.5 million. They had also had a headcount which had been 225 people, now down to 111. We did not anticipate a year ago how much of a burden Rock Band 4 was going to be.
Oh.
So it is almost entirely because of that, is what it sounds like.
Yup.
So that is unfortunate that is happening. I wouldn't say Mad Catz is like the best company out there for peripherals or anything like that, but they're definitely a competitor. But sometimes you pull the trigger on something and it really does not work.
Oh yes, it happens quite often in the gaming industry too.
Quite often. So that being said, that gets the news bits out of the way. I don't think I had anything else on my list of news. Did you have anything that you want to talk about, Grunt, that you saw or no?
Not specifically, no.
Okay. So we are going to get into another top 5, a top 5 I'm very excited for, and we're going to do top 5 hardest games. Now, what this means, and to set up, is essentially what we're going to talk about. What are the rules? So first off, I wanted to try, at least I know when I crafted my list, and I think I mentioned it to Grunt, that I wanted to make sure it was games that we had played, or at least not just spouting off random names. Because once you start throwing out there games that are hard, but you've never played them, then the question reigns in, well, what about a game XYZ? So in order to make this, 1, personal, and 2, easier to streamline and make sure you guys understand where we're coming from, it's games we've played personally.
Right.
So that being said, we have, of course, a couple honorable mentions. I normally limit it to 3, and I know I always pick 3, and Grunt picks like 1.
I mean, for this list, for me, it was clear cut on some of the choices. but it really was difficult to pick some. So
Yeah, I had trouble at first. Now, I went out to eat with my friends last night, and these are my friends that I've played games with since the beginning of time, essentially. And I was asking them what their worst games were, and
that's
I
a
got
pretty
some
long
really.
time.
It's quite a lot of time. I will say that. They gave me a couple of good ideas and a couple of games I hadn't considered, but overall my list kind of stayed the same for the most part. I swapped around a couple and eventually came to a list that I was happy with. So I'm gonna start off with my three again. Honorable mentions that are one I have actually not really played, but I had to put it in here because someone's request, and he will get
He
his
who
shout
shall
out.
remain nameless.
Oh, well, I'm gonna shout out to him right now. So I guess we do have to name him.
All right.
Sorry, professional podcast guest. I almost said ghost guest. Freak
Might
show.
as well be a ghost.
He might as well because he's as annoying as a ghost. I'm just kidding. What's really funny is most people listening will be like, "Why are they just insulting some random person?" But he was on our top games of the 2016, so you can go listen to him and then follow him on Twitter and yell at him. That way, he's getting more time than he needs. So he wanted me to put Contra on this list, or get the fuck out. Essentially, was the way he worded it. Not verbatim. But though, yeah, basically that. So one of my honorable mentions is Contra. Now, I've seen enough gameplay and heard enough bitching about this game to know that it is very hard. But having not played it, I didn't want to put it in my list because it, again, wasn't too fair. So I technically only have 2 honorable mentions, but that is technically an honorable mention.
It's a universal honorable mention. So.
Yes. Now, if you haven't played Contra, it's a side-scroller shooting game from the early 90s, late 80s, that era of video games. Might have been in the 80s, I think, honestly. And it was just very, very hard. That's the best way to put it. Having not played it, I can't say too much else. So let's begin with my actual honorable mention of Call of Duty World at War Veteran. So saying Veteran lets you know that we are going to include difficulty levels in the games. Hard difficulty on games would count. So Call of Duty World at War Veteran was fucking awful when I played it. Grenades for days. It was like a fucking grenade factory, and they just kept pumping them at you no matter where you were. You popped your head up and were dead. I did eventually beat it, but man, did it take a lot out of me. And this was in my achievement hunting days, where I wanted 1,000 every game, and that was one of the ones that was really hard to do. Now, I don't think I ever 1,000 or 100% of the achievements, because you needed to get to 10th prestige, technically, and it was worth all of 0.
Nope, not worth it.
And then there was also a hidden achievement that I didn't know the number on it, but you're supposed to die a lot. It was Purple Heart, and it's 20 times after a checkpoint, and I never knew that and never got it. So, tragically, never got to finish that. But this isn't hardest to 100%. This is just hardest in general. So, other than that, I have one other game that I have played, but only very briefly, and that is Battletoads. And if you have not heard of Battletoads, it is one of the most notoriously hard games to play. And it is mainly because of a certain section in the game that is, you're basically on these jet skis trying to jump over barriers, and the barriers come flying at you, and they just keep coming in bigger quantities by the end of it. Not to say you can't beat it, but that is the notoriously hard part of it. And I did play it with a friend during a retro game night, and it was hard. But that being my only experience, didn't feel it was fair enough to put in my top 5. So,
right.
What about your honorable mentions, Grunt, or honorable mention? I think you only had one.
I do have only one, even though I totally told you honorable mentions. But that's just because that's how I have it wrote down or typed out in my Word document for all these.
Sounds good.
This one, I think it just barely made our qualifications after I asked about them yesterday. So that's why it's in my honorable mentions list and not, maybe top 5. It literally comes out of left field, and something tells me Skype's going to crash again here.
Well, let's hope not.
Just
go for it. Go.
All right. Oh, IndyCar Series 2005 for the original Xbox is my honorable mention.
I had never heard of this game, honestly.
Yep. I wanted an IndyCar game because I was going through a racing game phase several years ago, and you cannot hit, even barely touch another car before they throw the caution flag. So you pretty much have to drive a clean race through all however many laps that they have you race. And that is way more difficult than what it actually sounds like.
I mean, it sounds difficult nonetheless.
So, yes, it was a game I played for quite a little bit, and then just gave up because I was just getting caution flagged everywhere.
All right. Well, that does sound awful. I think we all had a racing phase, though. I played a lot of Need for Speed Underground, so you know.
I still want the new Forza game, so I'm never getting rid of that racing phase.
See, there you go. All right, so let's get into our top 5. Again, this will go me grunt, me grunt, me grunt, like in that right again. So I will start off with my number 5, and that is Grunt. I actually sent these to you out of order, so I technically scrambled them. Number 5 is Dark Souls. I've actually played Dark Souls. It had been very recently that I got to play it. I did play it as a drinking game, and
that was a mistake, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, that was absolutely a mistake. It was basically every time you died, you drink. Let me tell you how that night ended up. If you want to find out more, go over to what is Corky's Twitch? I don't remember his Twitch, but we did it live, and we also played Mortal Kombat live and decided every time you got beaten around, you had to drink. So that got bad really fast too. And what was tragic is in that type of game, the person who loses more gets way drunker and loses more. And if you aren't familiar with Dark Souls 3, it's a very dark, hence the name, and gloomy, like, I don't want to say Skyrim, but that's the best way to look at it, like a medieval fantasy game. But it's really dark, and I can't think of a better word than that. It's gloomy. It's got a lot of like hellish type things, all kinds of scary shit. Well, not scary, but could be scary. What's the word? Unnerving. All that fun stuff.
It's dark.
It's dark. Like you're just sitting there in the corner. It's dark. It's dark. Like shut the fuck up, Frantic. It's dark. That's how I'm hearing it. So that's the best way to put it. It really is, and it's a hard game. It's very hard because you have to read enemies, and they all can act really quickly. You have seconds to react, barely any seconds to react, and stuff like that. So I definitely put that as one of my top 5 hardest games to play because it just is terribly hard. So
sounds like a very good choice, honestly.
Yeah, I would say so myself. So Grunt, what do you have for your number 5?
This one falls underneath our category of video game difficulty.
Ooh.
Battle Block Theater's Insane Mode is my 5th choice to start this off.
Man, I love Battle Block.
It's a very fun game. Just if you want to play it for fun, don't play it on Insane Mode because you will want to pull out your hair.
Oh man, I don't know how much of Insane Mode I've played. I've played a lot of the regular mode, and that's presented its challenges, but it's not been ridiculous, so I can only imagine what Insane Mode does. Yeah.
It's been a while since I played it. I played it by myself, which is a mistake, by the way. Unless you're really good at the game. It's really hard. When you fall off of an area or you essentially die in a level, you're not sent back to like a checkpoint or a certain point in the level. You're sent all the way back to the start of it. So if you're at near the end of it, you're just trying to get that one last gem to 100% the level, and you fall off into, pit of spikes, you're going back to the start of the level.
And it still saves your progress, but that puts a big hindrance on your time, because the game's also a lot of factors in how long it took you to beat a level, right?
Yeah, it does for like the grading at the end of the level once you clear it. So the quicker you finish it and the more like gems and extra stuff you get in the level, the better you'll be graded on this level. So, the less of that stuff you get, the longer it takes you, the more Fs you're bound to get.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. If you haven't played the Battle Block before, it's just a platformer not 2D, but side-scrolling platformer where you tend to die a lot. It's pretty easy to die in this game, so that sounds like it's even worse. Like you just right back to the beginning, because the checkpoints were like, oh, thank God I got to that checkpoint. I remember like thinking that every time I got to one. Oh, yes. So I can only imagine what removing those would do.
It's a fun game, nonetheless. Just if you want the challenge and you want to pull your hair out, Insane Mode is definitely for you. And that
sounds like it.
That's why it gets my fifth pick.
Seems like a pretty good reason. Also, I will shout out to Battle Block, and if you run a really funny game to sit down and play with a friend, it is.
This
great.
Is definitely it.
The soundtrack is also amazing, and if you have nothing else that you want to, if you're not interested in this game at all, I highly recommend Googling the Secret Room song from Battle Block Theater and laughing your ass off, because you will. Oh
Yes.
my God, is that song amazing? All right.
Yes.
Enough
I
said
just
there.
totally thought of another honorable mention I could have put.
Hey, go for it. The screen's blank. Well, I mean, it's got our logo, but
I was going to give a quick shout out to Bioshock Infinite's 1999 mode.
okay. I didn't
Difficulty.
know that was a.
It's a thing that you unlock. Yes, I don't remember how you unlock it. I think just by simply finishing the game
Mhm.
once on any difficulty. But it's the hardest level difficulty of the game, and then they take out the checkpoints. So when you die, you go back to the start of the level.
Oh wow.
It's kind of like what is it, roguelikes, or where you, if you die, you go back to the start of like the game.
Okay.
So it's kind of like that, but I believe it takes you to this just the start of the level. I believe they're a little forgiving in that aspect.
So
I've
like the
never,
Iron Skull from Halo.
yes, I've never actually played it. I tried to, I never played through it. I tried to do the first level for it,
Mhm.
and it was, meh. I died a lot, and that's been about it. I quit playing it, went back to playing
Mhm.
on like normal or whatever. But that was an honorable mention. Let's move forward with number 4.
My number 4 is The Binding of Isaac. Doesn't matter which version, Binding of Isaac Rebirth or the Afterbirth expansion or just the original. I've played all of those. The Binding of Isaac is hard to me, but there's a reason it's not number 2 or 1, and it's because once you learn what you're doing, and once you catch on and start really playing it, you get way better at it. Now that's true for any hard game. I'll be fair there, but once you start getting it decently enough with this, you can get deep into this game. And there's a ridiculous amount of depth to this game than on the surface. Now, if you aren't familiar with this is made by one of the indie gaming legends, Edmund McMullen. It is a game about Isaac, whose mother is like a devout Christian who kind of is just insane and thinks that she's supposed to sacrifice her son to God. So he hides in his basement, but then he finds all these like deformed, and you guys you can see on screen, very troubling, very scary looking things that are all biblical in some sense. And he fights them in the beginning with his tears, and eventually gets upgrades to use different types of ammunition and stuff. But it's a very grotesque game, is the best way to put it. Not in the sense of where you're going to be grossed out, but it'll definitely has unsettling imagery. That's for sure. And it you fight your mom at the end after 5 levels, but it can go up to I think almost like 10 different levels where you fight through your mom, then you go into the womb, then you fight her heart, and then you fight other things like in heaven and hell, and it just gets more and more ridiculous. I've never even beaten mom in like my 50 hours playing, and it's hard. It's very hard. But once you start beating it and catching on and getting better, just using the control scheme, it really starts to get into a groove. And I know because most of my friends are much better than I am at this game, so I didn't want to put this too high on the list where it's like, oh, that game's easy. And this is one of the ones I talked about last night with a friend because he was like, well, yeah, I can see how it's hard, but I can kick its ass. And I'm like, yes, you can. I cannot.
You
And that's
can, I
why
can't.
it's subjective list. So Binding of
Right.
Isaac, I would absolutely recommend it if you haven't played it. It's like $15 on the Steam store. I'd wait till it's on sale, but $15 for one of the best games I've played in a long time, it's definitely worth it in my opinion.
Mm.
And it also has a kick-ass soundtrack. Again, amazing soundtrack. Anyways, what is your number 4, Grunt?
My number 4, similar to one of your honorable mentions, it's Call of Duty 2, actually on veteran difficulty.
Ooh, Call of Duty 2. I remember Xbox 360s with this thing.
Yes,
Oh
that's
man,
actually the second game I got for my 360.
nice.
That one and another one I can't remember the name, but that's not the point. This game, I hate grenades from this game.
That seems to be the issue with Call of Duty Veteran.
Yes, and we could divulge into that, but it was just all the grenades everywhere, and you only had to, I'd say, probably get shot twice before you would die, which was kind of frustrating in some of the battles because I remember one point where I got a checkpoint for the game, and I was out in the open right as an ambush was starting to trigger. So
Oh boy.
that was really frustrating because it was like I saved, and I either had to remember that I was saved, or it saved me here, and I had to run away back to cover,
Yeah.
or I would just end up dying over and over until I eventually restarted the level. So it's not the hardest game, hence why it's my number 4 pick I played.
Mhm.
It was just unrelenting with the grenades. And
I 100% believe that.
yes.
Uh,
So
Okay.
If you play it carefully, you can beat it on veteran difficulty. I've almost done it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely something you probably don't want to experience if you just want to play the game casually.
Sounds about right. Usually the harder difficulties aren't for someone just looking to play and have fun.
I mean, like a casual scrub like me.
I'm not saying a casual scrub like you. I'm just saying in general. But if you want to go that route, yeah, sure, absolutely. Casual scrub. All right, so good pick for number 4. I'd say that's a challenge. I mean, World at War, like I said, was awful. So I imagine in the more prehistoric days of Call of Duty, it was very unforgiving as well. Not to say current versions are, but I beat Modern Warfare 3 on veteran in like 6 hours. So,
did it have
anyways, what?
Did it have a lot of grenades?
And not that I remember. I remember glazing through it essentially. Anyways, we're getting off topic. My number 3.
We don't get off topic.
Is an old game, but a fun one. One that I played a lot when I was younger. And that is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game. Now, this kind of applies to all the ones that they did. TMNT, Turtles in Time, and the original arcade game, and there was one other one. They were all very similar, just different stories, essentially. Mm-hmm. These games are very hard, and this kind of harps on... Well, it doesn't harp on. It goes back to the days of arcade games where the goal was to get you to pump more quarters in to keep playing, and a really high difficulty spike. I didn't play this in the arcade. I played this on my Super Nintendo. In the Super Nintendo, you just got a limited number of lives, and that was pretty much it. Right. So you only had so many lives to get through it, and I think I only ever beat it once. And that was a lot of game time, because I love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I still love them to this day. I have a mug at work of them, and I have all the pop vinyls at my desk at work. So I love TMNT. This game is still hard when I pick it up and play it, 20 years later almost at this point. So absolutely one of my favorites, but so hard and unforgiving. And it really just, like I said, to explain why it's so hard, is just look at any old arcade game. The goal is to make you keep coming back to play with increasingly big difficulty spikes. So that's about all I can say to it. I love the TMNT. Most of the TMNT games I've ever played are actually pretty decent. So I would definitely recommend this if you've never played it. It's definitely a classic, and I think it's aged pretty well. It's not too bad on like different mechanics that have been improved over time. It's just a side scroll beat 'em up, so simple enough.
Sounds like it could be difficult.
Absolutely is. So what would be your number 3 pick?
Going back to the days of the original Xbox with Rainbow Six 3. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six 3, actually.
Oh yeah, man. Rainbow Six.
Yes. I love that series. The reason I chose this one for my number 3 was since it's more so a tactical shooter, you have to play it differently than something like Halo, where you could easily rush into a group of enemies and kill them all and still survive. Barely, maybe, but still survive. You can't do that with Rainbow Six. You have to think. You have to really consider maybe taking the other route, or splitting your team up and opening the doors from 2 different sides. And the enemies were very, very alert to your presence on the harder difficulties of the game. So you had to be even more so cautious with doing things, making decisions to maybe go rescue hostages, because they would execute the hostages if they knew you were there.
Oh, absolutely. That is a very realistic shooter, I'd say.
Yes.
And I haven't played this one particularly, but I played the Vegas series, and Rainbow Six Vegas, at least the most recent times I've played it, I've definitely struggled, because I'm used to more run and gun shooters than I am like more sit back and think about it shooters.
Oh yeah, and since it's more realistic in that aspect, that's why you can't run in there. You take a few bullets, you're gonna die.
Yeah, exactly. Which is what makes it pretty realistic in my opinion. So I will say the picture I've chosen on screen does have a PlayStation 2 logo, so I apologize. You said Xbox.
I mean, pretty sure it was an Xbox.
It was. I'm just, semantics.
Semantics. So yeah, that's my number 3 choice.
My number 2 is a game with 2 in the name, and also
2.
falls under our category of in-game difficulties.
But is it
And
dark?
it's not dark,
Shut up,
but it
Grunt.
is rather round. It's Halo
Round.
2. Like, come on. You knew this was going to be on the list if you know us at all. You know me at all, really. And Halo 2 Legendary is ridiculous. Something I've never beaten.
Definitely agree.
And it is, oh my god. I don't know how to describe this beyond absurd. You know, everything has way more health than it needs. They're all way too smart. They easily kill you. You die in like 3 shots. And it's just dumb. Now, I have spent a decent amount of time on certain levels getting skulls that are hidden because most skulls can only be gotten on legendary mode. But beyond that, it's just ugh. Much better on co-op. I don't want to say you can't do it on solo legendary, but it is quite the feat. Now, I've seen speedruns on legendary, and that's impressive that they've done that. But either way, ugh, it's ridiculously hard, and I can't say any more beyond that, I don't think.
It's brutal and unforgiving, honestly.
Oh yeah, you cannot make a mistake. And the snipers, when you get into Sniper Alley and other times where there's snipers,
God, let's not even talk about.
those are the things
Jackals.
of nightmares. Those things will pick you off the moment you're like, you hold up a mirror, you know, like so if you're like in a movie and you're trying to see around a corner, like in a tactical movie or whatever, they'll like hold up a mirror and be like, oh, I got 2 snipers on the roof. The jackal would have already sniped the beam off the mirror into your throat. That's how good those motherfuckers are.
That's perfect. That's the best description for it.
I'm gonna get a look out here, and then you're dead. You're not even around the corner, and you're dead. It was bad. So,
And then if they would get sight of you and you would somehow not get hit by one of them, they would just sit there and shoot the corner. So you're just seeing shot after shot after shot, like 5 different shots coming at you. It's like, no, I'm just, nope, I'm getting out of here.
unlimited ammo.
Turning off my Xbox.
Yep, and they still shoot you. Your Xbox is
Still
off.
shoot you. That's amazing.
I'm telling you, it's the stuff of nightmares. So that's my number 2, rightfully so in my opinion. That game is hard. I wanted to put it at number 1. I'm not gonna lie, but because it was number 1 last week, I didn't feel right doing that, and I truly thought the game I picked for number 1 was much harder. So we'll get to that. But Grunt, what is your number 2?
I'm seeing a theme here. I'm sticking with the original Xbox. It's almost like
I mean,
that has nothing to do with hardest games, but maybe it does. Maybe there's some sort of underlying issue. Anyways, Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time, the original Prince of Persia game for the original Xbox. That game, it was unforgiving. Not as unforgiving as the Jackal snipers in Halo 2, mind you.
that's a good point.
But that game was unforgiving with like quick time events for boss fights, or even some of the puzzles were very, very difficult to do. I never actually finished the game. I don't even think I got halfway through it because one of the puzzles I just could not for the life of me figure out.
I feel you.
So it's a good, challenging game to play, but it's just either a lot of the puzzles that I encountered, I either overthought it or I just plain could not figure it out.
I've never played Prince of Persia, so I couldn't speak to it, honestly.
It's a good game. I liked it. I enjoyed playing it. I like the Assassin's Creed series much better, but Prince of Persia was fun. Except, when you couldn't get past a boss fight because you had to do everything so perfectly and not miss a button press.
Was this made by Ubisoft?
It was indeed, yes.
Oh, okay. I will say about the picture I've chosen on screen, I didn't realize it till about 2 seconds before going live that at the bottom it says full walkthrough in weird blocky letters. So I must have grabbed this from like a YouTube video image. I just Google searched the images, so my bad. Either way.
I mean, I should find that video if I ever want to play this game.
But yeah, I guess you should. Apparently it's very, very hard. I mean, it seemed like a really cool game when I saw the previews for it, and I don't think I've ever seen gameplay, but it's got a unique concept of like going back in time.
Oh yeah.
By a few seconds, I think is what it is, right?
Yeah. I don't remember what it was. And a lot of times that didn't get you out of trouble, even because, if I remember correctly, from seeing it, my dad played it and finished it, I believe. I never did, like I said. But I believe as you progress later in the game, there were enemies that would be able to like predict where you were going to be if you like froze time. I'm not entirely sure, so I could just be making this up. It's been a long time.
Hmm.
So if you missed an enemy, missed a swinging enemy or something, whatever, you go back in time, maybe correct your mistake, but they would realize that and, you know, still kill you or make your fight harder.
Oh, okay.
So,
How was the movie for this game?
don't know. I never saw it.
Oh. Well, there was a movie. We should probably watch that.
Probably
Oh my
should.
god, I just got the best idea ever. We should do a movie night on Frantic Talks.
I think we talked about this a few weeks ago, if not last week.
Might have. It sounds like it could be a lot of fun. Either ways, we're spitballing here. So Prince
Nope.
Persia, Sands of Time. Sounds hard. I wouldn't know, though. But I'll take your word for it.
You better. I'll take your word that TMNT Arcade is hard.
It's a great game, but it's hard. But let's get on to our number ones here. I'll start with mine. Now, if Halo 2 is not on Legendary, is not my number one,
What is
as many would have predicted, what is my number one? It is this delicious can of Dr. Pepper.
Oh, dude, Dr. Pepper is so hard. Wait. All right.
Okay, my number one is also by legendary indie game developer Edmund McMullen, creator of Binding of Isaac. And if that didn't tip you off, this will. It's Super Meat Boy. Super Meat Boy is hard. Now,
That's a very good choice.
I've only gotten into the third level of Super Meat Boy. So there's the forest, there's the hospital, and then they have like 20 levels in each of those. The third level is like the salt factory, I think is where I'm at, and they have like missiles that shoot at you and shit. And that's where I'm at, and it is hard. I have not even beaten it. Yes, the salt factory, I know. The reason it's in the game is yeah, go.
Are you salty that
No.
you can't beat it?
No, but what's interesting is if you run into salt, you die because you're a ball of raw meat. You get it.
Haha.
See, I thought you'd like that. Either way, the Binding of Isaac, or not, what am I talking about? Super Meat Boy is, I think it was Edmund, it wasn't Edmund McMullen's first game, but it was definitely the game he made before Binding of Isaac, I want to say.
Mhm.
And he had originally made Meat Boy as like one of the Flash games from back in the day, and then he created Super Meat Boy, which was released for like Xbox, PC, and all that fun stuff. And it is a side-scrolling 2D platformer, for those of you that don't know. And super fucking hard and super light, not light, sensitive, the controls are. So like the slightest little touch to the right or left could kill you. And it is hard. It is fun, but the worst thing about it is when you finally beat the level, it shows you every attempt all at once, so you can see how many times you failed. So that's kind of fun to watch back if you've died 100 times in a level, and then you just see 100 Meat Boys running in different directions and all dying except for the one that made it.
That's amazing.
And you can also, he leaves a trail of like red blood essentially because he's a ball of raw meat. He leaves his trail wherever he runs, and when he dies, he explodes and leaves bits there. And then when he respawns, it's still there, so you can see the path you tread. And
Don't go that way again.
well, you might still need to go that way and just make a better jump, but you can usually, if you've done it long enough, your entire level will just be covered in this red nonsense because you haven't beaten it yet. I've had that happen many of times.
That's amazing. Not gonna lie, that's amazing.
That's actually one of my favorite features about the game, but overall, it is a difficult game. There's no difficulty slider like easy, medium, or hard. It just gets harder and harder as you go, and I think there's still 2 levels after the one I'm on, and I've put a good amount of time into this game trying to beat it and still haven't, so I think it's harder than Halo 2 Legendary because I don't have to put it on Legendary. I just literally play the game. And I feel like that's not a necessarily fair argument, but in my mind, it's like, that's just how the game is. Versus I could play it on a cheaper difficulty if I wanted to.
Oh, yeah.
So
Easily,
that's my reasoning. Whether you like it or not, let me know. I'm always up for debate on that. But I think that's a fair point to make, I guess. So that being said, that's my number one. Pretty great, right? So
It is, actually.
what would be your number one, Grunt?
My number one? Well, it's your number 2.
Oh, so it's Halo 2?
So it's Halo 2, yes. Halo 2 on Legendary. I'm pretty sure I don't need to say much here. You covered it pretty good. Sniper Alley, pretty much everything ever, and all the Covenant in the game, everything. It's just
The Flood?
the Flood, they're even worse. The fun thing to do though is to turn on some of the skulls that you get from the game. I was able to finish it on Legendary with our special podcast Ghost.
I'm glad he's going to be a ghost from now on.
He is. He's going to be a ghost. It's your fault.
Is he up there in the ranks with Nolan Bot and Dinklebot?
Sure.
Okay.
He'd say Dinklebot most likely.
Oh yeah, he would.
But it's just, oh man, I was able to finish it, like I said, with Freak Show. That was probably 4 days, spending I don't know how many hours. There was one part on, let's see, what was the level? It's one of the levels like halfway through the game, after it's as you land on the second Halo ring.
Oh, Delta Halo and Regret.
Regret, as a matter of fact. The start of that level is horrible.
That's where you fight some hunters and some honor guards right at the very beginning of that level.
Yes, those hunters just are nightmares in their own rights. The drones that fly in at the end of Delta Halo, right, as you're pretty much nearing the entrance and beginning of the level Regret. Those things are Sniper Rally. I don't even want to talk about that.
Sniper Rally. Ah, geez, Sniper Rally is awful.
Yes, but if you turn on some of the skulls, I played it in the MCC, so they already had all the skulls there. So I cheated in that aspect, but some of those skulls are pretty hilarious, even on Legendary.
In order to collect all the skulls in the game that like you're supposed to get on Legendary, I used the Scarab gun.
Oh yes,
and still struggled.
That shouldn't happen.
To be fair, the Scarab gun will destroy you if you shoot anything within 10 feet. But either way.
Pro tip: don't combine the Scarab gun and Cowell either. Those are.
Oh, that sounds awful.
It's great. Just don't shoot anything 100 feet in front of you.
There you go. So just snipe with it.
Yes. Show those jackal snipers who really the boss is.
Fun fact, they'll beat you.
Exactly, because they'll snipe you from around the corner.
Exactly, you can't beat them.
They'll snipe you from outer space if they wanted to. But Halo 2 on Legendary is by far the hardest game I've played. Even all the others before this one. I mentioned the fact that Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time, was relentless and unforgiving. That's still true in its aspect, but man, you make a mistake in Halo 2, especially with our friendly jackal snipers. You're dead.
Man, I don't think I can emphasize it more, but it's not even about making a mistake. It's about just living, and they're there.
It is, yes.
Oh, jeez. Okay, well, that wraps up our top 5 hardest games. I hope you guys enjoyed. Now we're going to move on to our top 5 games that got us hard. And, oh, I'm just kidding. That was just a sex joke my friends wanted me to make. And I told them I'd throw it in here. So shout out to anyone who's listening that wanted me to make that joke. What, you didn't want to do top 5 erotic games? That sounds like fun. I haven't actually ever played one, but we could totally do it. Like, let's go. Number 5, strip poker. Haven't played it, but it's probably erotic. Number 4. I should stop talking. All right, so I want to end this on a different note. Clearly not that, but Grunt. Tomorrow is the Super Bowl. Now, most of you who will get to hear this, I most likely will not upload this until Monday after the Super Bowl has happened. So we are going to make our picks right now, Saturday at roughly 4:10 p.m. Eastern. What is your pick? It is the Falcons versus the Patriots, if you are listening and don't know. Grunt, who do you think is going to win? And we'll do scores as well.
I'm going to say the Falcons. And
Okay.
It's going to be 26-21.
Okay.
26-21 Falcons.
Sounds like a couple of field goals. I'm going to go with the Falcons as well, and I'm thinking it's going to be more of a 24-21 victory. So we're both pulling for the Falcons, it sounds like. I wouldn't mind seeing Brady get another Super Bowl ring, but I feel like he's got enough. But the dude's like 40 and he's still doing really well, so I can't knock him too much. Just everybody hates him, so you know.
I'm a Steelers fan. The Patriots beat the Steelers. I don't want them to win.
Oh, there you go. I'm a Titans
That's my reason
fan,
behind it.
So Titans fan. I have no quarrels with either team at the moment. So
Plus, I think this would be Atlanta's first Super Bowl win? if they did.
Yeah, I think it would be Atlanta's first Super Bowl win.
That'd be pretty great to see.
Possibly second at most. I think if they had won one, it would have been a while ago. Either way, I would like to see them win. They've been doing really good this year, so let's see what happens. So those are our picks. Sounds like if the Falcons win, we both picked right. It just depends on the score for our tiebreaker.
Pretty much.
Anyways, let us know who you get. Well, actually, it doesn't matter who you guys pick. If you're listening live, let us know who you pick. If not, let us cherish in the moment on Monday when you hear this.
Maybe I'll send out a tweet tomorrow.
Sounds like a good idea. We could do that.
There we go.
Okay, cool. Either way, thank you for listening. Let's go over advertising. I don't know why I said that. I'm just saying weird phrases. Once we get to the hour mark, I just start dying mentally.
Go.
Names, we mentioned Twitter.
Links.
At FranticJ3 is me. At Onyx Spartan, ONYX is him. At Frantic Talks is
That's me. That's him.
Yeah.
Him.
Up in the middle here. Yeah, point up higher. There you go. Point up or point to the logo. There you go. At Frantic_Talks. That is the official Twitter account where you can tweet at us your pick for who is going to be the first person to finish Dishonored 2 and enter into a chance to get a $5 gift card, assuming you're correct. Also, tweet at Frantic_Talks for whatever else you want, and at us for whatever else you want. Continue the conversation. What are your top 5 hardest games under our parameters of having played it, and you can use the in-game difficulty settings like easy, hard, or whatever. I wouldn't say Skulls would count, but I guess you could technically add in Halo Skulls. I don't know. Seems unfair at that point.
I think so. I think it's unfair.
Okay. Because then you throw on Legendary on Iron or Lasso or whatever. You're screwed. Anyways, head over to facebook.com/Frantic Talks to find out about all of our other randomness, like videos, podcasts, articles, all the fun stuff. Or FranticTalks.com, where you can find literally what I just said. And magic.frantictalks.com. Follow along with our EDH partner series that is going to go well into 2017 at this rate, or 2018, my apologies, at this rate. Should be a lot of fun to continue writing all those articles, because it's fun to get creative with the decks. It's been a lot of fun, I think. If you head over to frantictalks.com, like I said, you can click into a podcast, click on a YouTube video in there, because that'll be the video of what we're doing currently, where you can watch and follow along with our visual tools that we try to present with you about what we're normally talking about. And you can also catch it live if you would rather do that and join in on the conversation and get your name embedded in a podcast forever, because we'll probably shout out to you. You can go to twitch.tv/Frantic Talks at every Saturday, usually at 3 p.m. Eastern, usually.
You could be a ghost.
You could be a special, professional, what else ends in ol? Intentional ghost.
Original
Ghost.
Boom.
Just like our good friend Freak Show, who we play video games with. Why he gets that title. Either way, we have a couple of special ghosts, don't we?
We do.
If we wanted to shout them all out. We might do that at some point. Either way. I think that about does it. I can't think of anything else to add on. Did I forget anything? Sometimes I forget stuff.
I don't think so.
All right. Well, that being said, like I said, guys, let us know what your favorite games are. Love to hear them. Either way, I'm Frantic.
I'm Grunt.
And we'll see you guys next time.